Thank you, Mr Evans. It's a pleasure, as always, to see you in the chair, and it is obviously a pleasure to represent the Clyde shipyards and the shipyard workers in Govan in the Westminster Parliament. I had the opportunity, Mr Evans, on Friday morning to see the work being carried out on the Type 26 frigate HMS Glasgow and the progress that's being made there, and I look forward to going to the steel cutting of the second Type 26 HMS Cardiff in a few weeks' time. I would like to thank my good friend, the Honourable Member for North Durham, for securing this debate and for his fantastic work as Chair of the EPPG on shipbuilding and ship repair. And I'm delighted to serve on that all-party parliamentary group because it does, I think, reflect the public view of the affection and support for the shipbuilding industry across the UK. It is, in fact, an affection and support which crosses political boundaries, as we've seen today. Whether you're a supporter of the Union or independence of Scotland, or indeed a supporter of Brexit or remaining in the European Union, there are supporters right across that range who care very deeply about the shipbuilding industry in Scotland and the United Kingdom. And as the Honourable Member for North Durham had said, I was delighted that he highlighted that the export success of the Type 26 frigate shows the world-class design capability that is in the workforce on the Clyde. But of course, I wasn't the only visitor, Mr Evans, to the Govan shipyards on Friday. I was there in the morning. There was another curious visitor to the Clyde shipyards on Friday afternoon, and I will return to the Right Honourable Member for Uxbridge shortly. But it certainly, I would want to say that, and I agree with the points that have been raised by all those who have spoken so far, in paying tribute to the trade union movement. And I'm very clear that if it's not for the pressure that the trade union movement have placed on all political parties, we would not have a shipyard industry at all. And it was indeed the CSEU, who are having their conference today and have been mentioned, who wrote to the two current contenders to be the next Prime Minister, because, and I say this with great affection and respect to the current Minister for Procurement, I don't know if he's going to be the next Minister for Procurement in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if he's going to be there. There are rumours of government departments of the shredders working overtime in preparation for the new regime coming forward. So it could very well be yourself, Mr Evans, who is called to become the Procurement Minister. But the, the Honourable Member for North Durham says scraping the barrel. I think there's a lot worse, Mr Evans, I can assure you, that I could name, but I won't. But the CSEU have written to the two contenders, asking them specifically in relation to support for the shipbuilding industry, and specifically on the issue of the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Fleet Support Ships. They have yet to receive a response from either contender, and I was curious, Mr Evans, that the Right Honourable Member for Uxbridge should appear in a shipyard in Scotland and not mention what support or the importance of the shipbuilding industry to the United Kingdom. I think it was curious indeed. But I think that not only those who work in the shipyards, the trade unions, but I think the general public are entitled to know what the direction of travel will be under any of those with a sunny disposition. I think it was referred to by the Chair of the Defence Select Committee. I think that the public are entitled to know whether, with either of those two individuals, if they become Prime Minister, what they're going to do for the shipbuilding industry, and in particular, whether they believe that the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Support Ships should be built in the United Kingdom. And as the CSEU stated in the foreword of the All-Party Parliamentary Group report in relation to the importance of the Carrier Alliance, which has been mentioned by honourable members, says quite clearly that, however, the work is coming to an end, and the CSEU believes that up to 20,000 skilled jobs in shipyards and 20,000 jobs in supply chains are now at risk, and there's an urgent need for work to fill these yards. And I totally agree with that proposition, because I do find the excuses curious in relation to the fleet support ships not being warships. You would think there was some sort of cruise liner, Mr Evans, that the next time you watch an episode of The Love Boat, you'll see this fleet support ship that's been built, that somehow it's not, it's not a warship. Now, if these ships, which I understand from parliamentary answers, are going to take part in, for example, counter-piracy. I've never seen the Love Boat involved in counter-piracy, but I know that warships are involved in counter-piracy. And to suggest that ships that are armed with naval guns are not warships, I do find curious, and I'll give way to my honourable friend.
Would Honourable also agree with me that a ship which is equipped with phalanx guns is a warship? They're not there for keeping the pigeons off the deck.
Well, I think that's an excellent. I think that's an excellent analogy, Mr. Evans. Perhaps better than the one I used earlier. But I think that my honourable friend's absolutely correct. These are warships. If it looks like a warship, if it acts like a warship, then I think it's reasonable to assume that it is in actual fact a warship and not a civilian ship. And I think that the criteria should be changed, and the designation of fleet solid support ships should now be warships. Now, if I understood the Minister correctly in his answers to questions at the defence questions on Monday, that is going to be the direction of travel going forward, as I understood his answers to the Honourable Member for North Durham and others. But it's all very well saying that that's going to be the future direction of travel. I think it should be the immediate direction of travel for these contracts, because as the GMB trade union have said, and as a point emphasised by my honourable friend for Dunfermline and West Fife, 6,500 jobs could be created or secured. 285 million of the estimated cost of the order could be returned to taxpayers, money that would be lost should the order go overseas. And this is an important, I think, criteria that seems to be being overlooked by the Ministry of Defence and indeed the Treasury, because I've become, in the 4 years I've been in this place, I'm starting to believe that it's the Treasury that makes the defence decisions, not the Ministry of Defence. And I think I'm getting some sort of agreement by the chair of the Defence Select Committee. He says definitely that the Treasury are making these calls. And if the Treasury are making these calls, then surely it has to take account of the fact that the workers who are going to build the ships will pay income tax and national insurance that will go back into the Treasury coffers, which wouldn't happen if these contracts are sent to other places. And it would receive 36 pence in every pound, as Unite have estimated, on these defence projects. So it would be an excellent opportunity, and perhaps an excellent opportunity for the Minister in the next 2 weeks, before his, I'm sure, elevated promotion, to demonstrate its commitment to taxpayer value and to make sure that these ships are built in the UK. I do have, of course, other constituency demands which I have lobbied the Minister on. I hope he will take those, he'll take my advice over the next couple of weeks, because he does have an opportunity. Now, Mr Evans, there are plenty of examples of other countries internationally, normal-sized nations or larger nations like the UK, of them having a bit more or better planning in terms of its sovereign naval defence capability, and of course, along with that, building its warships and keeping its drumbeats going. And as has been highlighted by my honourable friend for Dunfermline West Fife and the exchange I've had with the chair of the Defence Committee, this is very important in terms of current Russian activity. The excursions into Scottish waters in particular are becoming increasingly blatant, and there is still no Navy surface vessels based in Scotland. They're all based on the southern coast of England, and that seems a very curious way of organising your defence when there is increased Russian submarine activity. Now, Mr Evans, there have, as others have highlighted, promises been made in the past about the shipbuilding industry. We heard the classic one, that there was going to be 13 Type 26 frigates. The Treasury then interfered, and it became 8 Type 26 frigates to 5 Type 31 frigates. And I still, despite that announcement over 3 years ago, still don't know exactly where the Type 31 frigate actually sits within the Royal Navy and what its purpose it's going to be. You can say it's got a general purpose, but what is its purpose and where does it fit in and what is the differences? It just seems to be a smaller and cheaper ship, and that seems to be the only reason that the Type 31 exists. Of course, that was supposed to be the exportable ship. That was supposed to be the one that would be easier for BAE Systems and others to sell abroad, and it turns out that it's the Type 26, so perhaps we might think about going back to 13 Type 26 frigates and looking at that. But what I would say to the Minister is that the Type 31 frigate should also look at the prosperity agenda across the UK and the benefits of that, and there should be, and I hope that he will give a commitment to that. Then, of course, we have the frigate factory. Now, one of the former Defence Secretaries still insists that the frigate factory exists in the Clyde, and has found himself twice in the House of Commons chamber arguing that the frigate factory exists, where on one occasion the GMB trade union and a BBC journalist with a television camera were going round the site of this proposed frigate factory and found ash. But there is an important point here, and that is something that is contained in the All-Party Parliamentary Group report, is that the Ministry of Defence needs to also look at, and I hope the Chair of the Defence Select Committee will pick this up as well, is that there has to be some support given to the shipyards on shipyard investment. It's no use both the Treasury and the MOD insisting that it wants the industry to build more efficiently, to save costs, if it doesn't help that industry invest in its own shipyards and to create that shipyard investment that can ensure that ships are built more efficiently and cheaper. I'll give way to one more friend.
But isn't it also not just about government investment, it's actually about private sector investment? And the way you're going to actually ensure that companies such as BAE Systems are going to put that private sector investment in, if there is long-term future orders for those yards. And does he agree with me that what we do in this country is stark contrast to what the Canadians have done at Halifax in terms of their investment in the new shipyards and also the investments that the Australians are doing in Adelaide?
I absolutely agree with that, and I think that what Canada and Australia are doing seems light years ahead of what the current UK government are doing, and I'm sure my honourable friend will also agree with me. I think it's been, for far too long, the shipbuilding industry has been through a feast and famine period, and it's always stop-start. There is no continuous look at the drumbeat and continuing to build along that model. And he's absolutely right, is that there has to be a commitment by the government, continuous commitment, to allow the private sector and the government to look at shipyard investment and how we can do that going forward. So, Mr Evans, the APPG report lists 10, I think, reasonable and excellent recommendations. I know the Minister has a copy of the report. I can only say, as a member of the APPG, I'm very proud of the report. It does look at ensuring that we have a thriving shipbuilding industry going forward. Because one of the frustrations I have, Mr Evans, when shipyards are in the media, particularly on television, is that there's always a clip of the 1970s with the welder with a welder's helmet. And I've got some sympathy for that because family members were welders, but the industry is far more highly skilled than that. The design is far better. I would commend anyone to visit the visualisation suite of BAE Systems. I know the Minister's been there, as have I, which shows the highly skilled, highly skilled way in which ships, our warships, are being built. So, Mr Evans, I'm fully in support of the All-Party Parliamentary Group report, and it's a pleasure, as always, to take part in this debate. Thank you.